We finally got some brand new Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay focused on the tech of the upgraded Anvil engine, including some info from Gamescom I can finally share and way more. For one, we got a pretty impressive look at the updated geometry. What Ubisoft basically did is build more independent segments for doors, fences, jars and other decorations, meaning that they can break more realistically. Like as Yasuke, we can for example use our kick, which is part of a regular attack combo by the way, it's not an ability, to kick over a fish rack with all the pieces falling individually. And we can destroy markets, parasols. I'm curious if there's a sort of wanted system like Mirage or Odyssey where if you destroy this property, roaming bosses will come to hunt you. Let's hope so. But yeah, it looks pretty awesome, and we can also use this to create openings in houses, or of course use the shoulder bash to go through these Soji doors. And with Naue, you can also make use of this system. Slashing your sword looks very realistic, and you can also destroy some plants, but especially using the Kusarigama in the bamboo forest is going to be very satisfying. I got way more new gameplay and details. If you are excited for the game, leave a like to show your support and subscribe of course for everything Assassin's Creed Shadows. But first, the sponsor of this video, a brand new open world game, Mervwood. I really like the unique art style, but it's especially the freedom that you get in this game that stands out. You first make your own character, choose an origin and class with pros and cons, but that is just the start. I immediately wanted to explore the open world, which you can do on foot or with a mount. I fought some enemies. There can be people in need that you can choose to help or not. Like many choices will have consequences. You can find powerful loot. I came across a house where I could steal, but it's up to you to be evil though. So there's a ton to do, but you can also focus on the main story. There's trading with special vendors who come to sell things and prices that increase or decrease based on availability. You can build your own settlement, mine resources, or form bonds with other characters who can then help you out in combat as well. And that is barely scratching the surface. So totally check the game out via the special link in the video description. That would really support the channel as well. So thanks to Mervwood for sponsoring the video, and now let's get back into it. Another thing that looks very impressive are the new wind systems that can have all the trees move very realistically, just like the grass. This also impacts the streams of water in the rivers. You will have these leaves fly by. Then I also have a new feature called Atmos that will simulate clouds dynamically, and this means that rain and snowfall can be fully simulated instead of pre-programmed. Like that's of course what we saw in the previous games, like in Valhalla and Odyssey. There were regions where you would always have snow. Now snow can exist anywhere in the world in Shadows if it makes sense for the season you are currently in. Now you're maybe thinking it's crazy that we're still looking at tech demos for a game that is out in 2 months, and I agree, like I just want to see it all come together in gameplay. It is still promising, and what we also learned at Gamescom is that this tech will now also be used in all the upcoming mainline Assassin's Creed games. So yes, all the features they've been working on for Shadows can also be used for Hexe and the big games after that, which of course awesome news. Also the weather, like how the rain falls down from buildings up close, it looks very impressive, and all the gameplay that you're seeing here is on PS5 by the way, not on PlayStation 5 Pro. While we of course learned that Assassin's Creed Shadows will be the first new game that gets support for PS5 Pro at launch, so I'm expecting like a combination of the 60 FPS and graphics of the quality mode on that system. When I have more info, I'll of course let you know here. But more interesting is that these new engine features also have an impact on the gameplay. We now learned that guards might get drowsy, so sleepy after standing in the sun all day, and this means that they are less alert, so we can more easily sneak past them. Heavy snowfall can also block the vision from guards, and rain will make your footsteps stand out less. But especially the dynamic light will of course have a huge impact on the game. I love the recent gameplay where we saw Naue kind of stay out of the light created by the window to not get spotted by the enemies. Like we will have to look at the environment in completely new ways. It does seem that these tactics won't work with the bigger Yasuke. I mean, in the new gameplay we saw him attempting a leap of faith, and yeah, that doesn't go well. I do like this approach though, make a bit of fun out of it, because completely removing it for him would impact the gameplay too much. Now in the new blog post, Ubisoft notes that Yasuke is still capable in stealth situations, able to sneak, assassinate and kill quietly with his bow. And quietly is the key here because his assassinations won't be quiet at all. Yasuke is an honorable samurai, so when he's like crouching towards an enemy and their back is turned towards them, he will yell for the enemy to turn around, and then assassinate them, and that yell will alert a lot of the camp. But still, a full stealth run in some cases might be possible if you only use your bow, which is interesting news. I do have some extra info on what Yasuke can do, what Naoe cannot do, because overall Naoe of course seems to be the way more capable character, also having eagle vision to spot enemies through walls, something Yasuke does not have from the sounds of it. And while she doesn't have access to the bow or rifle, she does have the typical assassin tools, and Ubisoft now indeed confirmed that the bells can be used to attract guards. Remember, when I asked the game director about the bells, he said that he could not tell me yet, we still have some aces up our sleeves. Which made me think there's more to it, but it's very likely going to be similar to the noisemakers that we had in Mirage as well, that you throw and then the enemy will go towards it. And you would think that we then still have the whistle to attract the enemy to our location. But there's another way to distract enemies. On Twitter, Ubisoft confirmed that we can call our shinobi recruits for support in combat. Strike together for the leak. And this image reveals a lot of interesting things. So for one, yes, it seems to be similar to the feature introduced in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where you at any point can call in other assassins to help you out. But in Shadows, it's likely going to be more of a combination between Call to Arms from Odyssey and the Viking feature from Valhalla. Because if we zoom in on the shinobi in the image, it looks like she's wearing gear items that I can see Naoe wear as well. And yes, this is interesting, she also has a really cool red rifle on her back. While as the player, we can only use a rifle as a ranged weapon with Yasuke, while Naoe of course also has a ton of weapons and gear that Yasuke cannot use. But it seems that, similar to the Vikings in Valhalla, we can equip recruits with items that we find in the world, but that combinations are possible between exclusive Yasuke and exclusive Naoe items. Of course, my read on looking at this image would be really cool, and you would think that just like in Odyssey, we can get some of these recruits through side missions, but I am curious if we can also once again get characters made by other players. It was a cool idea in Valhalla that kinda went nowhere, but if in Shadows you can summon the shinobi from a friend in the world with a call to arms like move, it could be way more fun. Now, high chance Yasuke can also call these recruits to help him out, but something Ubisoft showed as well that I got a bit more info on is the posture system. So we see him do a charged heavy attack, then follow up with a regular light attack and a regular heavy attack, and this move is needed to strip the enemy of armor. I learned that you can now also charge a light attack, by the way, and then do a combo, and we don't have footage of this yet, but some enemies can break you out of the charge, so basically react to you trying to do a posture attack and stop you from breaking their armor. Now, an upside Yasuke has versus Naoe is that he can posture every attack in the combo, while Naoe can only charge the first attack of a combo. Yasuke though can also charge the second attack and the third attack in his combo, for example, so likely deal way more damage to the armor bar above the enemy's health with one combo. And if the enemy has no armor anymore, they take way more damage. And I think that's what they're trying to say here as well during this like optional boss encounter that we can likely find in the open world. I'm kind of getting Drangir vibes from Valhalla. We see Naoe on the ground, she has a hard time, so they switch to Yasuke in this situation, and then we immediately see that same enemy but almost naked, as he lost all his armor thanks to Yasuke's more powerful posture attacks. Now, I totally think that Naoe is capable of taking out this boss if you are a skilled player, but it's probably still easier with Yasuke. We now also learned that only Yasuke can lift heavy objects, while Naoe can't, and I'm just super curious if this means that there will be puzzles in the open world we come across as Naoe that we then cannot complete, or that both characters will have their own way of completing the same puzzle. I hope it's the latter. And we now also see one mission in different seasons and with different characters. And what's interesting here is that where in Odyssey and Valhalla, of course, both characters had the same dialogue, now it's different to fit their personality and experience. Still, in this example, they both basically say the same thing, just with different words. So I'm curious if there will be moments where you play Yasuke and then use his unique dialogue that you can create a reaction from the character you're talking to that actually alters the quest, or lets you do like things that with Naue you would not do. Or if all these choices are just pure for role playing without any impact. When we learn more about the game, I'll of course let you know here, so subscribe to not miss anything. Like, we're getting closer and closer to release, which means more new info and more frequent videos on the game from me, so stay tuned. A like on the video would be awesome, and I'm doing an Ultimate Edition giveaway that you can enter via the link in the video description. Check out my recent Shadows video by clicking on the screen, and I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.